Good evening, my name is Brianna Martin and I would like to read you a story. The story I picked is based off of my L2 language, which is Spanish. The story I picked is called The First Tortilla. It is a Spanish-English mixed story. It actually isn't straight Espanol. And I did this because my L2 language was something that I learned later on in life that I don't fully or are capable of speaking every single word clearly and pronunciating. So I enjoyed this story because it has a nice mixture of those kind of important Spanish words or heritage Spanish words that we hear in an area such as New Mexico, along with just my L1 language, which would be English. So I'm going to read you a short piece of this story that has some Spanish integrated into it, and I'm pretty positive you'll be able to understand it pretty quickly. So this is the end of the story. The story starts out, it is a folktale of Spanish heritage about how the first tortilla was made through the process of gathering corn from a mountain spirit who stopped watering their fields. And this little girl brought I don't want to say a treat, but a dish up to the mountain spirit, and he granted them water as well as let her take back kernels of corn to her village, and which they learned to then make into tortillas. So this is kind of the end of the story when they're doing that process of making tortilla. So as we begin. That afternoon, clouds gathered on the mountain peak. Soon a gentle rain fell. Later in the season, corn plants pushed through the earth. The corn tassels blossomed. Soon, tender ears of corn appeared on the stalks. Elotes, Jade said as she picked the corn. That evening, they ate corn, beans, and squash, flavored with red chili. When the corn was dry, Jade placed some kernels in the metate and crushed them with a mano. She sprinkled water on the cornmeal. The gruel was thick, like dough. Masa, Jade said. She patted the masa back and forth in her palms until it was flat and round. Then she placed it on a hot stone near the fire. While they were eating, they smelled the masa cooking on the hot stone. "What is that sweet aroma?" asked her father. "The masa," Jade cried. So that was about a page to a paragraph, and as you might have got a feeling, this young girl is physically making these tortillas. So in there we ran across 3 to 4 Spanish words. We came across elotes, metate, and mano, as well as masa. So lots of M's. And what I've noticed the most in those who are learning Spanish or know Spanish, I feel and know that a lot of tongue action is involved in making these M's in a sort of way roll similar to the R's. While they aren't as long as those R words in Spanish, they have that beginning roll to them. Masa, okay, or mano. And as you can see, as I opened my mouth there, you kind of saw a flip of the tongue. There's a lot of tongue motions that are involved in Spanish speaking and communicating in that way. So when working or teaching or learning Spanish, I really ask people to look themselves in the mirror when they're making these sounds with their mouth so that they can see what their mouth is doing. So if it's not making the correct sound, they can adjust it to how their instructor or whoever they're learning it from. Because as you saw when I said mano, you kind of saw, again, you saw that tongue move. And again, if I were to open my mouth more or take a closer look with a closer mirror, you guys would also see that break down a little bit more of that full tongue action to make each single one of those sounds. So I hope you enjoyed my vodcast on the first tortilla.